The directive says, 2013-33 EU directive says this is to guarantee a dignified standard of living for asylum seekers in the EU and ensure their human rights are respected. So we have this extraordinary situation where we're guaranteeing their human rights, but in the interim, and we're not sure for how long that will last, they will be barred from working in care work, in health professional work, in construction and retail, in domestic work, in hospitality. The list of restricted occupations is quite shocking. So I'd like to know what they can work at. I have been making representations almost a year now to your office, the Department of Justice, for a Libyan man who was offered a job as a surgical consultant in Galway University Hospital and has been refused by your department to a work permit to start that employment. And finally, Innes tell me that they have a policy of not employing Libyans except those involved in aviation and the beef trade. We take an extraordinary attitude to human beings and to human labour. And we have said repeatedly in this House that with every hungry belly comes a pair of hands and a brain, and people have a lot to contribute to society. But they've been treated like somehow they can do this, they can't do that, they can be in prison for 12 years, 14 years, and then what do? The damage you do to those who had hoped for so much when this Supreme Court ruling came out, or indeed those who had hoped for so much when Justice Brian McMahon issued his report. I'd love to know what he would have to say to you today, Minister, about this measure. I'm actually shocked about the vindictiveness of this and can't really fathom why it is that the Minister and your department are taking these measures. The only thing I can think of is that you don't really respect or get the idea of refugees needing refuge, and you've no problem punishing them for fleeing persecution and war, and that there's also an element of sending a signal to low-paid workers in this country, look at what we're doing to protect you, we won't have these refugees competing against you. I think it's a combination of all these things, and I think it's outrageous. And the brave Rohingya man who took the case to the Supreme Court in the first place may ironically find himself without being able to work in this country because he doesn't have €1,000 and he can't get a job outside of all those listed industries that will pay him at least $30,000 a year. This is a completely unempathetic, outrageous and lack of dignity measure that this government is taking.
Deputy Mick Wallace, please.